All right, guys. I'm going to tell you mine. What was difficult to wait for. I'm in the process right now of a waiting period, and it has been the most annoying wait I've ever had. Anybody ever had something you're waiting on that's just annoying to wait on? All right, so here's mine. In about 4 months, we're gonna go as a family visit my family in Rome. My mom is her family's from Italy, and we have cousins and family over there. And my mom's cousin, who is kind of the patriarch of our family there, has cancer, and they did chemo and everything, and it didn't take. So he's on his second battle with this cancer, and he's older. And so we tried to do a family reunion last year. It didn't work out. So we're going to try to go this year. Now, I've got 2 small kids, and they need passports. Let me tell you about this process, okay? Because if you got small kids and you want to travel, let me tell you what it's like to get a passport for a kid right now, okay? I have a passport. My wife has a passport. We're good. But we're traveling at the end of May. In the first part of the year, I was like, okay, we got 5 months, which is 20-something weeks. We got to get their passports. So I started trying to get the process started. So I had to get the paperwork, right? You had to get paperwork. I have the birth certificates. I have all that stuff. Got the paperwork. Got the application. Filled it out. Ready to go. Now I got to get a passport appointment. Start looking for the passport appointment. Get on the post office website, which is how you get a passport appointment. That's our federal government. And guess what? No passport appointments in January. All right. February. Nothing. And the website is not set up to be user-friendly. It's not like you can say, show me the next available appointment. No, you got to go per post office. So I live in the South Bay, right? So I'm looking at, nope, nothing. Then I start looking at the library. You can get a passport application at the libraries. Nope, nothing. I finally found an appointment in the Bay Area. You know what the date was? It was May 22nd. The same day we're supposed to leave. Not going to work. Then I started Googling what is going on with passport appointments. And I find out that the Bay Area, it's just the Bay Area, is insane right now, backlogged for passports. Did you know that they were saying if you live in the Bay Area and you need a passport, don't book your travel for 6 months until you get that passport. So I was shook. I was like, wait a minute, we've already bought our plane tickets. And I got the cheap, non-refundable tickets. So I'm like stressing out. Well, I spent hours and hours and hours going on the UPS or USPS website, ticking one post office at a time, increasing my radius away from the Bay, until finally I found an appointment in Three Rivers, California. Y'all know where that is? It's in the desert. 3.5 hours away. They had one appointment, and it was 3 days from the day I saw it. Someone had canceled. So I booked it, and then we did a road trip down to the South Sierras, to this little town near Sequoia National Park, so that my kids could stand in front of a postal man and look at their birth certificates. That's all this is. We drove a 7-hour round trip to go get passports. And now, guess what? I'm in the waiting for these passports to come in, all right? Like, I'll be honest, guys, like, I believe I'm a patient man. I believe that about myself. I wasn't born that way. I didn't grow up that way, but I believe God has done a work in me to make me a patient man. But this passport thing has about tested my limits of patience. And have you guys ever had a situation like that in your life that's just testing your limits, right? You can have God do a work in you, and like love, right? God make you a loving person, but then you got that person that tests your ability to love. You know what I'm saying? Or you can be a peaceful person or a joyful person, and then something or someone comes along and tests your ability to be a peaceful person or a joyful person. And today, as we are going through the fruits of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, today we are on patience. And I have had my ability to be a patient man tested in recent years. And so I am the appropriate person to bring you the message on patience today. So I want to ask you guys this, all right? As we look at this verse here, all right? The fruit of the Spirit, let's read it together. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, Come on. I know y'all can read. All right. Don't test my patience this morning, okay? All right, ready? The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. I teach my kids this list through a song. I was singing it to Catherine this morning, and she almost killed me because it's so annoying. But it goes like this. The fruit of the Spirit's not a coconut. The fruit of the Spirit's not a coconut. If you want to be a coconut, you might as well hear it. You can't be a fruit of the Spirit because the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. We're going to do that the whole morning. I'm going to test your patience today. And you're going to leave here with a verse memorized, all right? No, this list, if you look at it, what we've done so far, we've done love, joy, and peace, right? Love, joy, peace. The first three on the list are very general things, aren't they? You can contextualize love in a lot of ways. In fact, even in the New Testament scriptures, there's three types of love listed. There's agape love, which is the kind of love Jesus has for us, a sacrificial love. There's eros love, the kind of love between a couple, a man and his wife or whatever. There's philos love, the way you love your friends and you would do anything for them, right? When Jesus says, lay down your life for your friends. Like, we just read the word love, but it can be contextualized in a lot of ways. Same thing with joy. Same thing with peace, right? But then you get to the back half of the list. This is the first part of this list. The first three are general. And then this next several are going to be real specific applications, right? Patience. How do you live out and contextualize having patience? Because that's not a very general word. It's like a specific thing. It means that patience is like your ability to wait. You know what I mean? It's your ability to wait. Now, if we look at that list, let's go to the opposites, okay? The opposite of love is what? Hate. So we would say that if we start inverting this list, that would be the fruit of evil, wouldn't we? You guys, you see what I'm saying? Like the fruit of the demonic entities of Satan, the enemy, evil in general would be the opposite. If the fruit of the Spirit of these things, then the opposite would be the fruit of the enemy, the fruit of evil. So therefore we would say hate, right? For love. What about joy? What's the opposite of joy? Sadness, sorrow, right? How about peace? Conflict. What's the opposite of patience? See, you would think it's impatience, right? The ability to not wait, but it's really not. I've been challenged on this, okay? Let me tell you what the opposite of patience is. The opposite of patience is impulse. It's not necessarily not the ability to wait. It's the ability to move when God doesn't want you to move. That would be motivation. That would be the enemy wants you to step into impulse. Not impatience, but impulse. Because impulse is control. It's not giving God time to work on something or time to work in you. It's you taking control for yourself and moving that thing you need to get done. That is the opposite of patience. It's impulse. The root of patience is actually in humility. And I don't mean like humiliation. I mean your ability to be humble is and give up control of yourself or the things that are in your life really is living out patience. Your ability to be humble is connected to your ability to be patient. Because whenever we are waiting on God, it is difficult. You know what I mean? It's hard to be in the waiting. It's really easy to take control. It's hard to wait. So God wants us to be people that can rely on him. And when we give up that control, we're waiting on God. And the heroes of the faith, they say it like this. Like, let's look at what David said in Psalm 27:14. We're going to put the verse up here for you. He says, wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. Isn't it interesting when you look at that verse that it is not natural to wait for God, right? And David is saying when you're waiting, you got to be strong. Don't go take control. Be strong. Just wait. Let your heart take courage. Courage, another word to say courage is confidence. Like let your heart be confident and wait on God. Wait on the Lord. Look at what he says in Psalm 37:7. He says, be still before the Lord and wait, what's the word? Patiently for him. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in his way, over the man who carries out evil devices. He's saying to be still before the Lord and wait patiently and don't worry about the people that are taking control, who worry about themselves, who try to do it all themselves. who carries out, because at the end of the day, when we want to take over, when we want to do everything, we are kind of feeding evil impulse. We're not being patient. And I want to identify today 2 areas in your life, in my life, and all of our lives, so we can exercise patience. The first area is patience in processes. I alliterated. You know why? Because that's what preachers do. We like to make everything kind of have the same letters. So patience in the process. Y'all say that. Patience in the process. Patience in the. Right. See, look, life is a bunch of systems, okay? You live by systems whether you identify them or not. Who here sets an alarm to get up in the morning? Anybody got an alarm? Is it the same time almost every day? You systematize waking up. Who here has a bedtime they give themselves or their kids? I'm gonna be honest, y'all. I put my kids to bed every night. Try to get them every night at the same time because they got to go. They got to go to bed. And then for myself, I have a bedtime. I give myself because if I stay up too late, I am not productive mentally the next day. Like I'm doing things I need to get done, but my mind is not tack sharp like it needs to be. So I have a bedtime. I've systematized my rest, right? Who has a gas station they like to fill up at? Right? It's the one that you know is safe, secure, and has cheap gas, right? You've systematized filling up your car. Who goes grocery shopping at the same stores? Yep. You've systematized how you buy food and provide for your family. You know what I mean? Life is a whole bunch of systems. We can say those systems are processes. Now, at some point, you had experiences, positive or negative, that led you to your system. So perhaps you didn't set alarms and you constantly overslept and missed things. So what did you do? You learned to set an alarm. At some point, you went to a gas station and you didn't feel like it was the one for you, and so you chose a different one. You have all these systems that that have been designed in your life intentionally through good and bad experiences. I think about the process of acquiring even a skill or a system in your life. Like I'll use music as an example because I'm a musician. Many of you just saw me playing guitar. Who thinks I've been playing guitar less than 5 years? I better not see one hand. How about less than 10 years? Less than 15 years? I'm going to give you the answer. You guys think I'm highly skilled at this point. Less than 20 years? 20 years, all right. I started playing guitar when I was 18, 39. So, 21 years I've been playing guitar. In the beginning, I came about it pretty naturally, right? Because I played other instruments before I picked up the guitar. Played piano, played saxophone. And I got into the guitar. I played bass before guitar because my little high school band, it was called Professor Science. I don't know why in the world that was our band name, but we played a lot of Goo Goo Dolls and the Eagles and James Taylor and U2 and that kind of stuff. I wanted to be part of that band, and they needed a bass player. So I learned how to play bass, and I was their bass player until the guitarist moved away because we were in military family and started playing guitar. Well, in the beginning, I was kind of natural at it, but if you were to take me after 20 years and I could show you my 18-year-old self, like how to play guitar, like how I play today, 18-year-old self, I hope, would be impressed with 39-year-old me and my skill set. Why? Because I went through a process of getting better and better. But what got me better and better isn't the process, it was the systems of discipline and practice. Does that make sense? Like, I want you guys to see that the process is one thing, but the systems support the process. So if I never worked at it, if I never practiced it, if I never gave myself opportunities to play in front of people, when I started playing, I played in my bedroom with a guitar from JCPenney. Did they have JCPenney in California? Okay, yeah. I had a guitar from JCPenney, y'all. That was like the end of the 90s is when they stopped making, JCPenney stopped making instruments. But I learned how to play guitar. But why I can stand up here today is because I had so many opportunities to play that people I don't care about playing in front of people. You know what I mean? And then I disciplined myself to practice and learn how to use the instrument, learn how to make it a part of my natural ability. It's almost like today when I play, I feel like it's like speaking. I don't think about speaking. I don't think about playing. Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm not sure all this to say I'm a great guitarist because I'm not, but I'm comfortable and confident in my ability to play though. But it's because the systems supported the process. See, what happens in life with patience is we we don't do the systems well, and then we get frustrated with ourselves in the process. You see what I'm saying? It's like if you don't work the systems, then you start getting impatient in the process. Like you want all the things you want to do right now, and you want to be good at them right now. And you might have this idea, this hobby, this passion, this skill set, but it's not refined. And then you start getting discouraged because the process isn't moving along at the pace you want it to, but it's really the fact that you're not running the systems that support the process. Does that make sense? I thought about this long and hard, all right? And I know you guys have been waiting on this. You got to get my joke, all right? So you've got to learn to be patient, though, in the process. And by being patient in the process, what it means is that you're willing to work the systems, to be disciplined. Because patience is not something that is supernatural to any of us. That's why it's a fruit of the Spirit, right? It means God produces this fruit in us. But God's looking for you to get real about your systems and processes, to get real about the way you live your life and the things you give your time and energy to in a way that supports your ability to grow and have grace and patience for yourself. And that also leads to our ability to have patience in others. Another example I was thinking about was the whole patience in the process. I think about how many of us, we have like dreams. You got a dream? Anybody got a dream? Right? We can, or maybe in a better word, we think they're like a vision. We have a vision for where we want to be, who we want to be, the things we want to accomplish in the time that God has given us, right? So we have, I'm coming up on 40. I'm like 4 months away from turning 40. And I'm feeling that, like I'm feeling it emotionally. But they say 40 is over the hill, which means half your life is over. I don't like that, because I feel like I've got the back half of my life, and I'm like, are my best days behind me? Are the days ahead of me nothing but sadness and sorrow? Because the first 40 years, I had some good times and some bad times, but in the next 40 years, if the Lord lets me see them, I'm going to see my kids move out of the house and go off and have their own life, and that's going to tear me up. I'll bury my parents in the next 40 years, maybe some other family members. It's like the process, you know what I mean? Like, I have dreams, I have visions and hopes, but then all of the fears start creeping into what I see the process as supposed to be. And yet, the scriptures say, wait on the Lord, take courage, don't be afraid of the visions and the process and what's ahead of you. And when we can start crippling ourselves, right? We start crippling ourselves with worry and anxiety about the waiting, about what's to come. And yet God is asking all of us to bear the fruit of patience in that process that doesn't lead us to places of like Liz shared last week, like jumping to conclusions or trying to take control of our own journeys and path. No, like God is calling on all of us to have patience in that process and not predict the future, but to live a life to the fullest, as John 10:10 says. Do we have our Romans 8:25 locked and loaded? Here we go. But if we, what? Hope for what we do not see, we will wait for it with patience. If we hope for what we do not see, we will wait for it with patience. Process that for a minute with me. If we can hope for what we don't see, those are the dreams, the vision, the things you haven't felt or experienced yet. But if you hope for them and you're letting God do something with them, we wait for it with what? Patience. This is that surrender, that giving up control, letting God. So patience in the what? Process. Come on, patience in the... Here's a second area of your life that you can live out patience. It's with people. Patience with people. It's hard to have patience with people, isn't it? Because when I think of the things that try my patience, it's typically got a name attached. You know what I mean? Like the thing, now this passport thing tried my patience, right? But can I tell you about the name I went to? I went to my local congressman. I did. I didn't tell you guys that in the beginning. When I couldn't get an appointment, I was like, who can I go to here? Because I got some things I need to say. So I Googled who to complain about passports to. and our local Congress representatives popped up. So I hopped on that website. I don't even know who these people are, and I'll be honest, I didn't vote locally, and so I should have, but I didn't. So I've never seen these names before. I don't care about the R or the D next to their name. They're getting my email today. So I picked our congressman. I brought them both. We had two of them, So I was like, hey, this is going on here. I am incredibly frustrated as a tax-paying citizen, and I just kind of said what I needed to say. And then I did send it, right? And then I got a form back, just some generic email. Thank you for reaching out, because typically whenever we're frustrated, we got to attach a name. Even if they're not responsible. We typically want a name when we're feeling that impulse. And by the way, I impulsively sent that email. That's the opposite, remember? That's the fruit of the enemy, not the fruit of God. Because guess what? Nothing good came of it. Did it help me? No. Did it make me feel better? No. Did I still have to drive to Three Rivers, California? Yes. Am I still waiting on that passport to come in? Yes. And Lord, it said 8 to 11 weeks. They tried to get me to pay a rush fee. No way. We got plenty of time, right? Fingers crossed. I might be here in June, though. We'll see. We want to attach a name to our lack of patience. And I once heard it said, when you're watching somebody get experience, it is the ugliest thing. I think about my kids, right? My son, I coached a soccer team this past fall. If you've got small kids, the pandemic really messed up the life and rhythm of a small kid. And I'm like, babies are living the same life, pandemic or not, but if you've got kids between the ages of 4 and 15, somewhere in that window, the pandemic really messed a lot of developmental things up, because my kids, they didn't get a chance to play sports when they were 5, 6, when I would have started them doing some sports and stuff. So my son is 8, just started soccer last year. And I played soccer in high school and college. I played in Germany because I went to high school in Germany. So and by the way, that was our only option. We didn't have any other sports. That was it. Soccer. Or badminton, but that's not really a sport. So my son's trying to play soccer, and I was like, the best thing we can do is have me coach his team. So I signed up as a coach, and I coached these 11 kids. 8 on 8, so I had a nice stacked team. None of these kids are good. I had the worst team in the league, right? Not because of the coaching, right? It's never the coach's fault. No, I just had very unskilled new kids, and we lost. We played 9 games. We won 0. We lost 1 game by 9 points. They should have mercy ruled that thing out. But I'm watching these kids get experience. It's ugly. You know what I mean? I'm on the sidelines. I'm like, can you just do what we practiced? I got one kid sitting out there Indian style picking daisies out of the, and I'm just like, come on, man. Get up, chase the ball, do something. It is hard to watch people get experience, isn't it? Right? And maybe you lead people in your job or your children, your family. Man, it's easy to lose our patience whenever someone is learning a process or getting experience at something. Patience, let me tell you what patience is when I think of people. Patience is preemptive forgiveness. Patience for somebody is preemptively forgiving them. So whenever they're offending you or they're doing something that's grating your nerves, you preemptively forgive them. That's what patience is with people. And forgiveness, that list of fruits of the Spirit, forgiveness isn't a fruit of the Spirit. Wasn't on the list. But forgiveness is something we receive and therefore we pass on. Forgiveness is a legacy thing. It's not a fruit of the Spirit. Rather, it's the legacy of Jesus. Jesus forgave us so that we may forgive others. Amen? That's what the scriptures say. Forgive as you've been forgiven. It is a legacy thing. It's passed through us and on to others, right? And patience is preemptive forgiveness. So whenever someone's wrecking your nerves, whenever somebody, or even your children or a family member, anybody got that family member they do not want to spend more than 3 minutes with? I've got a list of them. That's why I live in California and they're all on the East Coast. I got my list. I got cousins I never want to see again. I got aunts and uncles that are basically, my children are more mature than. I pick on my family because they're not in the room and they don't watch this online. So, but you get what I'm saying though? They test my patience. But what if I could preemptively forgive? What if I could forgive my alcoholic uncle for ruining his kid's life? You know what I mean? What if I could preemptively forgive people whenever they offend me? And preemptive means you do it before they do it. That's what having patience is. You're living from a position where you are not getting so offended by every little thing, and you're not getting your own ability to love tested. You've preemptively forgiven, and therefore you can be patient with them. Does that make sense? That's how I'm trying to live out this patience piece with people, is preemptive forgiveness. And so therefore, when people are constantly apologizing to me, like they offended me, I'm like, yeah, but you're fine. I'm good. You know how much, and by the way, like if you get to know me really personal, you're going to realize it takes a lot to get me offended. Like, you really got to come after me in a very personal way and come after my family or my people that I love to really start like offending me. Because I try to live in a position where I am slow to anger, slow to offense, but quick to forgive and quick to be patient. Because that's the work I've asked God to do in me, right? I wish you guys could have known. Actually, I don't want you to know me then. Young adult me was a spitting reflection of my Italian family. Very angry, quick to fly off the handle, quick to lose my patience and temper. And I went to college to be a therapist. They made me go to anger management. True story. I had to take anger management as an elective, right? So to learn how to process my own stuff so I can help others, right? And that helped me a ton, learn all the different ways in which I would lose my patience with people. And I said, God, like, I want to help people because I want to, number one, help the world, but number two, help people find you. So God, can you make me more patient? And God did a great work in me over many years. Patience is that preemptive forgiveness. I've got two more verses to share. 2 Timothy 4:2. Let's look at this one. This is about how we lived with others. Paul says to preach the word in every season and out of season, reprove, rebuke, and exhort with complete what? Patience and teaching. See, Paul is saying as you lead people, as you share the gospel, as you do everything, man, have patience with people. Be patient with them. Everybody's got their own process and their own journey. Let's look at Ephesians 4:2. With all humility and gentleness, with what? Patience. Bearing with one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. We are supposed to bear with one another with patience, not live out frustration, especially within the church, right? How can we be the light of the world if we don't have patience with one another? You know what I mean? So I want to encourage you today to look at the way you interact with your patience and your processes and your patience with people. And we're going to take a little bit of time, probably about 7 minutes here. And we're going to, I want you to pick one or two of these questions on this list as a table. And I want you to share them with one another. Some of them might be deep. Go deep. It's okay. This is a safe place. I think I can put that on here. Number 4, you can be honest. This is a safe space. I want you guys to take the next 7 or 8 minutes or so, dive into these questions, and share with your table anything from this list.